welcome everybody. This is Adam from Mills Custom Guitars and the N+1 podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. This podcast is all about hobbies, passions, obsessions, and not just what people are interested in, but what comes next. You know, I am a musician, and every guitar player will tell you how many guitars is enough guitars, N+1. There's always room for one more guitar in the stand. Any artist will tell you there's always room for one more painting on the easel or on the wall. There's always room for one more, and that's what I talk to every guest about, is not just what you are into, but what is next. I want to talk to everyone about what they're excited about, but what is coming up next. And we've had some amazing guests through the time that we've been doing this, and this particular episode is continuing my ongoing series where we talk to religious leaders. You know, one of the things I am passionate about is my beliefs. I am a Christian believer. I'm a Christ follower, and I've been talking to church leaders about how the modern church is interacting with our modern culture. And, you know, the church gets a bad rap a little bit these days, but it doesn't change the Great Commission from the Lord to go forth into all the world and make disciples. And so I'm talking to church leaders and seeing how they are reconciling the Great Commission from Jesus with the modern world and the modern culture and climate, modern attitude that people are taking against the church and with the church, and how we can work together to reach other believers. And so far, we've had some great guests. We had on Adam Dohonick, who's a pastor up in Washington, and we had on Ryan Lochi, who is a worship pastor and is mentoring believers to become worship pastors. And we had on Jason Rivera, who is a brand new youth pastor. He's been at it over a year now, and we need to check in with him, see how that's going. I ran into him last week. And we just recently had on Darwin Snyder, who is a missionary, and that was a great episode. These are all great episodes. I encourage you to check them out. But today we have on a friend of mine who they approach ministry in a different way, which is Chris Lytle from Celebrate Recovery. And Celebrate Recovery is a great ministry that just helps to meet people where they are. Sometimes it's not always to find Jesus, but it's to find a higher power to get people out of their hurts, habits, and hangups. And that is where we are going to talk to Chris today. So without further ado, let's get to Chris Lytle about Celebrate Recovery. Hello and welcome everybody. This is Adam from Mills Custom Guitars and the N+1 podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today I am joined by my friend Chris Lytle, and we've been talking to church leaders from many different realms across the different ministries to see how different ministries have been interacting with the modern world and how they've been trying to fulfill the Great Commission of Christ. And Chris is one of the leaders of the local Celebrate Recovery. One of the local Celebrate Recoveries, there's a number of them. And I wanted to talk to Chris because number one, he is a great personality. He's like I was talking to someone today. It's like he's a chatterbox. You can't, and great guests make great interviews, and great Chris is a great person because once you get him going, he can't stop, and that's a great interview. So I can't wait to talk to him about Celebrate Recovery, because the other thing that is great about the show is it's so passionate. Chris is so passionate, and passionate people make also great interviews. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the kind words, Adam.
Yeah, I love anytime I get to hang out with you and talk with you. But let's talk about Celebrate Recovery. If someone's sitting here today and hearing these words for the first time, explain to us, what is Celebrate Recovery? Explain it to us like we're five.
Thank you, Adam. Celebrate Recovery is a 12-step based Christ-centered program for people with hurts, habits, and hangups.
Okay. It's a recovery program. So a couple things. Recovery program, Christ-centered for hurts, habits, and hangups.
And it's 12-step based.
12-step based, right. Okay. So then what I always like to say, so that kind of paves the groundwork for what we're going to talk about. How did you get started? And I always say, I always ask every guest this question, which is, what is your gateway drug? And that might be a little on the nose for this topic, right? I mean, what was your gateway drug to get you into Celebrate Recovery, maybe into Celebrate Recovery, but also into serving as a leader into Celebrate Recovery?
My gateway drug, Adam, was alcohol.
Okay.
Alcohol led to me finding something that could enhance my drinking, Adam.
Okay.
It was this white powder. And that way I could drink all night without passing out or throw up. So it was alcohol that was my gateway drug.
Okay. So how did that lead you into recovery?
Well, that question is a simple answer.
Okay.
I like the effects produced by alcohol. So much that I wanted to drink all night, but I know I'd pass out or throw up. And then somebody introduced me to that substance I just told you about that enhanced my drinking. And some would call it methamphetamine. It's speed. And I was able to drink all night.
Okay. Well, so you're talking about the addiction.
Yes.
You're talking about the next step.
Yes.
But what about recovery?
Because of my drinking and use of illicit drugs, I found myself in a position where I wound up in jail. And a leader of Celebrate Recovery came to my jail cell and brought me to Jesus Christ on December 20th, 2004. Since then, I've been actively attending and participate in a 12-step based spiritual program of action. Spiritual program of action. You know, it reminds me of a story. If you lock yourself in a closet, Adam, and you pray for God to make you a ham sandwich, He's not going to make you a ham sandwich. You got to get off your duff and do something.
Yep.
So I had to step into action. So what I did was the very first day that I got out of jail, I went to a meeting. And the guy that brought me to Christ was concerned because if I wasn't doing something, I'd probably not stay. So my first service opportunity was this. He said, Chris, I want you to go over that corner with those 5-gallon buckets of sand. That's the smoking section. And at the end of the night, put on these gloves and pick out all the cigarette butts and make sure they're not on fire and throw them away. So that introduced me to service. And there was one night when a guy came over to help me and I said, don't do that. That's my job. But it was such a simple thing. Service. And that kept me coming back, and it kept me coming back. And by the grace of God and the power of Jesus Christ, I've been clean and sober from drugs and alcohol since December 20th, 2004.
That's amazing. So,
are you going to edit that out?
All that's going away.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
I make mistakes, Adam. You know what they told me? If you think you're perfect, our exit signs are clearly marked. Well, I don't go there. I say if you think you're perfect, you're in the right place.
That's awesome. I'm going to find a way to leave that in.
Okay.
So how would you go from that place of just showing up and just digging out the cigarette butts to being a leader in Celebrate Recovery? I mean, they probably don't just throw you into the deep in the pool. What is that progression to get you to be a leader?
I would have to use the word surrender. I surrendered to God's will for my life. And I followed directions straight out of the Bible. I had a sponsor. And my sponsor guided me through the 12 steps and 8 principles. The 12 steps changed my life. There are good things in life, and there are also great things in life. But the 12 steps of Celebrate Recovery are life-changing.
Okay. Yeah, 12 steps, 8 principles. I've been to some services. They always, whenever someone's out, they invite me to come and play guitar, which I always love to do because they let me like rip on guitar. They just like turn it up, turn it loose, and that's always fun. But so yeah, they have the 12 steps, they have the 8 principles, and that's kind of like a roadmap basically for, just follow these steps, follow these paths, and, like you said, it's a recovery plan of action. You can't, you have to do the work. I always, like my dad always said, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Okay, He will make your paths straight. Okay, He won't push you down the path in a wheelchair. That's what my dad always said, right? You have to do the work. He can make your path straight. He can direct your paths, but you still got to do the work. It's a 12-step plan of action.
By the grace of God and the power of the program, with the help of others,
Right.
I have found freedom from my hurts, my habits, and my hangups.
Right.
It goes far beyond alcohol and drugs.
Right.
There's many more struggles that a lot of people have out there,
Yeah.
including codependency. There's sexual addiction issues. Right. There's anger issues. Mm-hmm. But through the process, all of those hurts, habits, and hangups are addressed. Mm-hmm. And if you're honest and thorough, you will find freedom from all of these struggles.
Yeah. People, hurts, habits, hangups. You can, this is the nice thing about Celebrate Recovery is you can go to recovery to get help for anything. And that's actually maybe leads us to our first question, which is, what are some misconceptions that people have about Celebrate Recovery?
Well, before I tell you that, Adam, I want to tell you that I was addicted to soap once.
You were addicted to soap once?
Oh, don't worry, I'm clean.
You're clean now. You were addicted to soap once, but you got clean.
Yeah, and I believe humor and interaction is imperative when we are in recovery.
Yeah.
However, I don't want that to distract you from the fact that you have a disease and it's going to kill you unless you get a handle on it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was your question?
So what are some misconceptions that people have about recovery and Celebrate Recovery?
Some of the misconceptions are it's a churchy type of program. Sure, it's huddled to church. Our higher power is Jesus Christ. Some of the misconceptions are fear. When reality is, it's come as you are.
Right.
It's a starting point for your recovery to find freedom from your hurts, your habits, and your hangups. So it's a starting point.
Right. One of the misconceptions I had was, like you said, fear. Like when I first went to CR, it was like, those, alcoholics or those drug addicts, when, bro, we're all just people that need help. Like literally every person on earth are just broken people that need Jesus. It doesn't matter if you're like, the pastor on a stage or a person in a gutter, or the president of the United States. We all need Jesus, all of us need Jesus, so badly in our hearts, in our lives, to save us from ourselves, it's all of us.
Well, Adam, you asked me earlier one of the misconceptions and what are they? And it came to mind that one of the misconceptions of Celebrate Recovery is it's just alcohol and other drugs. Mm-hmm. When, like I've said, it's for hurts, habits, and hangups.
Yeah.
Codependency, anger, impulsivity.
Sure.
With the help of others and Jesus Christ, you will find freedom.
Yeah, we've seen people that are coming because of grief. It's people that are coming for, for whatever they're trying to get over. Whatever it is. There's all sorts of things, and whatever your hurt, whatever your hang up is, CR is there to help you to get through it together. We're stronger together. We grow together.
Absolutely, we recover from a hopeless state of mind. And we like acrostics or acronyms, however you want to say it.
They do.
And one for hope is, hold on, pain ends.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this, is that, and I'm sure you probably will have another dozen of them before we're done today, but they, CR, and especially Chris, loves their acronyms.
It helps me remember. I am slow.
Does it help you remember how?
Did you ask me how the program works? Well, let me tell our listeners, if they don't know, how the program works.
I don't remember.
Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness.
Oh, that's right. I remember
And that's
now.
a key factor when you enter into recovery. You need to step out of denial, which is the absence of rigorous honesty, and start to get honest with yourself and others. Open-minded, that there is a better way, and then willing to do whatever it takes.
Pretty important. And that's how.
That's where it starts.
That's awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face in Celebrate Recovery?
Some of the biggest challenges I face in Celebrate Recovery.
And not just you, but like as CR, as an entity, you know?
There's always going to be challenges, but for the grace of God, we have been able to work through whatever those challenges are, and we've been doing it at Sierra Bible Church now for over 15 years.
Nice.
But we get back to the basics. We get back to the principles that are found in the Bible, and that's how we deal with challenges today. We let Christ lead the way, and it's about love, in my opinion. Just come as you are. Say it. Come as you are. And you'll get the love that I think is so important for you to begin your recovery.
Nice. What about Celebrate Recovery fills your bucket? You could go to CR for yourself to recover.
Which I do.
But you are in leadership. Why do you do that? What fills your bucket?
Why do I do this?
Yeah.
Why do I do this? When I see somebody recover and when I see them start to do well and to step away from their hurts and their habits and their hangups, it inspires me. My story, why do I do this? I'm going to be quick.
Don't be quick. Don't tell us the long one.
No,
I know you got stuff to do, but come on.
It's okay. Let me start off with a very successful high school baseball career. I was recruited by USC. I got a letter from Stanford. So I was doing extremely well. I started drinking in excess every day towards the end of my freshman year. After I broke a few records and was doing phenomenally well. The drinking led to drugs, led to quitting baseball, quitting school, started working construction, which meant more drugs, and lost that job. And then I was asked to come on board as a curbside recycler. So I'm driving a recycling truck around picking up cans and bottles. And at that time, a friend of the family exposed me to a job opportunity. This was in the early 90s in the computer industry in Hayward, and I lived in Modesto, so I was commuting. I had one MVP of the Coors Light Invitational softball tournament, Adam, and stayed up all night on my way to work. There was a road that was 2 lanes, and it was very narrow, and I fell asleep, and I got into a head-on collision. I was in a coma for 4 days. I was given 36 hours to live. But Christ had a purpose for me, and I didn't know what it was, but there was a purpose. So after the accident and the months of rehabilitation, I went back to work and couldn't do what I used to do. But I lived right across the street from the neighborhood bar. After a rough day at work, instead of going to a program and turning to Christ, I found my solution in alcohol. Alcohol led to drugs. Drugs led to jail. And like I said earlier, that's where a leader from Celebrate Recovery brought me to Christ. You know, I went to a Celebrate Recovery meeting, Adam, and this guy suggested I go, and I saw God's there and free food, so I went for the free food, and I waited for God to show up, and he didn't show up. He didn't show up, and then I just went straight into my addiction because I didn't have the help of others. I didn't have a program. I didn't have somebody to come alongside me. And then I found Celebrate Recovery.
Interesting. So, how are ways that you are able to use that story in Celebrate Recovery to help others?
What I like to say is we carry the message of recovery. We carry our experience, strength, and hope. Almost every meeting, there will be somebody in the rooms that can relate to your story.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to enough meetings, you'll hear your story told by somebody else. And that lifts you up.
Yep. Yeah, and that's one thing that it's like one of the lies that the enemy tells us is that you're alone. No one understands what you're going through. No one's ever been what you're going through. When in reality, there's nothing new under the sun. And when in a CR, people start telling their story, and you go, that sounds very similar to what I'm going through. Maybe it's not that different. And guess what? They've gotten through it. Maybe I can talk to them and find out how to get through it. And that's like the whole CR. And you can grab someone that's come along, that's gone, further ahead from you, and then all of a sudden you're also grabbing someone that's further behind and you're pulling them up. That's like the whole thing. That's like Christianity in a nutshell, but that's CR is like got
Absolutely.
the whole thing. Yeah.
It's unity.
Yep.
Personal recovery depends upon unity.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I neglected to mention, one of the motivating factors for me to keep coming back to Celebrate Recovery is throughout my addiction to alcohol and other drugs, I found myself in a very unhealthy space with very unhealthy people, and got into a physical altercation with somebody, and I was hit by the handle of a machete below my left eye.
Okay.
You see the scar.
Yeah.
That's a reminder of how important it is for me to reach out, to trust God, and to work the program of Celebrate Recovery. So it's a reminder every time I look in the mirror.
Do you have something that you might consider the Chris Lytle signature move when it comes to recovery and maybe your leadership style?
Yes.
Okay.
I call it the 5 to stay alive.
Okay.
Now write that down.
5
to stay
to
alive.
Stay
Go to meetings.
alive.
Go to meetings. Find a sponsor. Work the steps. Get involved in service. And never pick up no matter what.
Service.
If you do those 5 things to the best of your ability on a daily basis, chances are you're going to stay sober for a lifetime, 24 hours at a time.
Speaking of staying sober for a lifetime, when we were scheduling this, you said, hey, I can't be there till 4 because I'm in jail. And I was like, okay, well, you're in jail. I hope everything's okay.
Let me tell you what God did. God has given me the wonderful opportunity to return to jail and carry the message. Carry the message of experience, strength, and the hope that I found through Jesus Christ.
To go through the front door instead of the back door this time.
Yeah, if I would have dropped your name, would they have let me out?
I don't know. They probably don't. They're who? So 5 to stay alive. Go to a meeting. Get a sponsor.
Work the steps.
Steps. I can't read my own writing. Work the steps. Get into service.
Yep.
And never pick up no matter what.
No matter what.
That one even rhymes. Never pick up no matter what. I'm a musician. Everything's music
I'm ready
to me.
for your jam. Come on, write me a song. 5 to stay alive, Adam.
Do you have a guilty pleasure when it comes to CR and the whole thing, your leadership style and just recovery in general?
I don't know. When you said guilty pleasure, the first thing I thought of was cookies and milk. My wife makes a lot of cookies, and I love cookies and milk.
Can't say no to that one, huh?
No, I can't.
I'm the same. Like I can pass on cake. Like I could walk right by a whole thing of cake. I can walk by pie. I could walk by a whole bowl of like hard candy. If there was a plate of cookies, I'm eating like 6 of those. Like I cannot pass up cookies.
So that's the only guilty pleasure that I can think of, Adam.
That's awesome. Do you have something in recovery? Maybe it's in your own journey, or maybe it's in something that you've seen in someone else. And of course, we can't share names because of confidentiality, but that you would consider as like a favorite moment. Maybe you saw someone else overcome something, or maybe it's in your own journey. Do you have something that you consider a favorite moment?
Yeah. First thing that came to mind is when I was there in that jail cell, and the gentleman that brought me to Christ showed me how to be free, even though I was locked up, and I had this feeling of such peace and serenity. And then he walked me through the 12 steps and the 8 principles. And another favorite moment was when we were talking and I was telling him how horrible it was and how miserable jail was and how they weren't being fair. And he said, Chris, you need to stop whining and you need to start taking responsibility. So at that moment, I started to take responsibility for my past behavior, and that helped me be free.
Awesome.
I learned that when you share with another individual, you get 3 things. You get support, you get healing, and you get freedom.
That sounds pretty awesome. Freedom and peace, people. That's a pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome feeling.
You know what I also like to
and
say?
all you got to do is stop whining.
Yeah.
What else do you also say?
Okay, I was gonna ask you if you had a good day yesterday.
I did have a pretty good day yesterday.
Well, Adam, if you do the same thing today as you did yesterday, you're gonna have another good day.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. We'll work on that. I just have to edit videos for an hour and a half. Anyway, this episode is brought to you, as always, by the Miller family. I couldn't do this without the support of my wife and family. They make everything possible for me all the time, and you can show your gratitude for them by visiting our Redbubble store. The Learning Journey Academy is our homeschool where we train our kids in the way that they should go and teach them about life and all that stuff. We had a whole episode on the show talking about our process of homeschooling. But we have some items on our homeschool store through Redbubble that has some art, some of my wife's art, some of Elena's art, some of Zeke's pixel art, and it is really cool, guys. But some of the things you can get on there is also channel merch. You can get the N+1 podcast logo on a hat. You can get the Miller's Custom Guitars Pixel logo, which Zeke so gratefully transitioned into a Pixel logo for me on a hat. If that's something that you are interested in, check that out. Links in the description. And of course, you can support the channel by visiting the Facebook group. Guys, the Facebook group needs to grow. We want interaction. Go on there, post what kind of guests you want to see. If you have a recommendation for someone that you think might be a good guest, post them in there. Post comments on what you liked about the episodes. Post in there your artwork. I want to see your things that you're interested in. Post in there. If you went on a great run, I want to hear about it. If you worked on some art, I want to hear about it. And then the last thing, I always ask for this, just share an episode with someone that you think might enjoy it. That's a great way to grow the show. Anyway, guys, back to the show without further ado. Thanks. Do you have advice for beginners? Someone's needs to take those first steps on recovery. Do you have advice for beginners?
Just show up.
Show up. Go to a meeting. Find a meeting.
Practice the 5 to stay alive.
5 to stay alive.
And come as you are. Come as you are.
Now, I'm pretty messed up. I don't need to get clean first.
Nope. You can show up under the influence. Now, the one boundary that we have set is if you do show up under the influence, you have every right to be there and we're going to love on you. We're just going to ask you not to share.
Don't share.
And we're going to ask, we don't want to hear from the drug and the alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? But you're there.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. So if somebody's
just come.
struggling, just show up.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about this more in a minute, but there are Celebrate recoveries all over the country, all over the world.
Yes.
Right? We don't have a ton of viewers on this podcast, but right now, you watching or listening to this podcast, look it up. We're going to put links in the show description to the Celebrate Recovery National Database. You pop in your zip code or your address. There is probably one within a reasonable drive to where you're at.
CelebrateRecovery.com group finder.
There it is. I don't even have to Google it. I will just listen to this and I'll pop it in. There are Celebrate Recoveries everywhere. They're probably not as good as the one here in Sonora because the one here in Sonora is pretty
You know what
awesome.
we learned? We learned a couple things, and one of the important aspects, something that we learn, is humble yourself before the Lord. Adam, let them decide. Let the person that arrives decide what
Ours is
works
pretty
best
good,
for them.
though. We have a couple good ones here.
We are the best Celebrate Recovery on a Thursday night in Tuolumne County.
There you go. How about
We're
that?
the only one.
There we go.
Yeah.
So find advice for beginners. Find a group. They're all over the country, all over the world, and just go. It can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be, because you just go as you are. You can even go loaded. Just don't share. Just don't share, and it's fine because there's space for you there.
When it comes to being under the influence, we just want you there.
Yeah, just go.
We just want you there, and we want you to do one thing.
We just want you to do one thing, which is
Keep coming back, Adam.
just keep coming back. Nice. Awesome. So on every show, if there's time, if there's a way to do it, we try to get into the topic with our guest, if there's a way to do it, in a section we like to call "Let's Get Into It." I think recovery is a great thing to do. If there's a way we can do it, we talked about the 5 to stay alive. I don't know. Is there a step we can talk about? Is there something that you thought of that we can do together that is recovery based that we can do in just a couple minutes together?
I didn't think about it, but the spirit of recovery put something on my heart.
Okay, let's do it. I got a pen. We're sitting here together. We're doing it.
The first thing that we need to do is show up.
Okay.
Come as you are. And we learn it's imperative that we step out of denial.
Okay.
Denial. Don't even know I am lying. So we step out of denial. And
Another acronym.
we start to get honest with ourselves and others. And then that's when we can really start working the steps and the principles. So in the first step, we admit we're powerless and our life has become unmanageable.
Right.
For me, basically what that means is once I start, I can't stop and my life becomes a complete mess. Mm-hmm. Then I move on to 2, which is came to believe that there's something out there that's going to help me not start. My higher power is Jesus Christ. I'm not shy or apologetic about that fact. However, I also know that there are atheists and agnostics out there, and they're just as welcome.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Come as you are. Sometimes we need to start off as a higher power of the spirit of recovery.
Sure.
That God could be gift of desperation. Mm-hmm. It could be the group of drunks, the group of druggies. It could be good orderly direction. Mm-hmm. What I can tell you is this: your spiritual and emotional condition will change as you continue to surrender to the program, step out of denial, keep coming back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Then, so admit you're powerless. Believe in a higher power. What's step 3?
Thank you for asking. Left that one out. And then you make the simple decision. You make a simple decision to turn your will, your selfishness, your self-centeredness over to the care of your higher power. Your higher power knows who you are, cares about you, and wants to give you the power to recover. So you make that simple decision. You need to step into a rigorous course of action.
Action.
After you work the first 3 steps, and that's where step 4 comes in. But it's just a decision. It reminds me of... I got a question for you.
Okay. I can answer questions.
There's 3 frogs sitting on a log. One decides to jump off. How many frogs are left sitting on that log?
There's 3 frogs.
Sitting on a log. One decides to jump off. How many frogs are left sitting on that log?
There's 2 frogs sitting on the log.
Maybe I got to ask you that again. 3 frogs.
This is a trick question, guys.
Sitting on a log. One decides to jump off.
He's done this to me before. Wait.
It's simple. There's still 3, Adam. And the reason why is because he decided, but he didn't take an action. So we make that simple
Because you
decision.
need a rigorous course of action.
Remember the ham sandwich story?
You know what? That's my favorite dad joke, which is, Dad, I'm hungry. Make me a sandwich. Poof, you're a sandwich.
Got to get off your duff and do something if you want to be free from what's holding you back in life.
Yeah.
So you can live happy, joyous, and free. I mean, that's all we want. That's a big part of what we want. We didn't get into recovery to be miserable.
Right.
We got into recovery to enjoy life again.
Right. We got into recovery because we were miserable.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah.
You know what they say? When the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain to change, we start to change.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been good. It's been a quick discussion, but what for you in your ministry of pursuing recovery and helping others to recover is your N+1? What is the next thing for you in helping others to find recovery?
One kind of touches my heart, and it came out with COVID.
Okay.
We wanted to find another way to reach out when people couldn't meet in person.
Right.
So
That was tough. How hard was that on Celebrate Recovery? Did you guys still meet or what?
We didn't for several weeks, if not several months, but we stayed in contact over the phone.
Sure.
What my co-host and I have brought to the table is an online version of recovery and the 12 steps. This online program will supplement whatever spiritual program of action you choose, whether it's AA, NA, or CR. It's called www.recoveryispossibletoday.org.
Okay. We'll throw a link in the description.
Excellent, thank you. Right now, we're halfway through. We have 26 videos. We're going to be producing a workbook. And basically the idea is this. You watch the video, you answer the questions in the workbook, and you move on to the next video. You process through your answers with a group of individuals. Because of those three things that you get when you share. Do you remember what they are? Support, healing, and freedom.
I was going to say how. Honestly, openness, and willingness.
That's where it starts. You step out of denial, you start to get honest, open, open and willing. But that's really where it starts. You show up, and if you can't make it, this other program that we have, recoveryispossibletoday.org, can supplement what you're doing.
And I was going to say, you have your videos uploaded on YouTube. I was really impressed by the production value. The videos look great. They're edited great. I was totally jealous of the studio. Where are you guys filming those?
I was blessed. It was an answered prayer when I met this gentleman at Celebrate Recovery who has a full-blown recording studio in his basement. Wow.
Yeah, the videos are super high quality. Like way better than the janky stuff that I'm filming in my den in my house. But yeah, so the videos are super high quality. The production value is great. You don't have any like weird rabbit trails like what we're talking right now. They're to the point.
Oh, rest assured there are. He just edits them out.
Yeah, okay.
I tell a lot of dad jokes.
But yeah, those are awesome. I'm super excited for that. How that's shaping up and looking out. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
So that is basically our interview. Is there anything else before we wrap it up? Is there anything else that you felt like you wanted to say you didn't say?
The only thing that I would say that I haven't said is how grateful I am that I got to be here and do this with you, Adam.
I'm so excited that we got to do this
how encouraged I am that this podcast can share the message of recovery so people can find freedom from their hurts, habits, and hangups, and they can recover from a hopeless state of mind. Because it's hope, Adam. I can't do a whole lot more for you than to give you hope.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much to Chris for coming on. How can people connect with you? Where can people find CR? And plug your channel again. We'll put all those links in the description, but where can people connect with you?
You can call Sierra Bible Church. Ask them.
That's in Sonora. We'll put the link, the phone number down there. But
yes, sir. You can connect with Sierra Bible Church. They will give you my phone number, and I will be happy to talk with you on the phone or take you to lunch, meet you for coffee. Or you can go to our recoveryispossibletoday.org website, and there's a way that you can get in contact with us there as well. So I have a variety of ways, both phone and email, to get in touch with me. Awesome. I just hope that if this is what you want, you'll do the legwork.
Awesome. And the link to your website again is?
www.recoveryispossibletoday.org.
Okay, awesome. Okay, before we go, I'm going to ask you the 2 silly questions that I ask to every person. And this is like my favorite part of the show. I wish I had a podcast that was just this, honestly, which is, the first question is, tell me a sentence or 2 and casually drop the name of the most famous person you've ever met.
Repeat the question, because I got a good one.
The most famous person you've ever met? Just a short, really short story, a couple sentences. Not a long Chris Lytle story.
I've met Joe Montana.
Okay.
You know who I saw in concert? You're going to love this.
Okay.
Elvis Presley.
Elvis? No. You're too old. You're too young for that.
No. Here's how it worked. My mom's sisters all got tickets to see Elvis Presley at the Cow Palace, and one of them got sick, so they took me. So I got to see Elvis Presley.
Dude, what were you, like 5?
I think I was 7.
Okay, 7?
Yep.
Okay.
All I remember is being way up in the nosebleed seats and looking down at a guy that was just dressed in a white leather outfit with all kinds of stuff, passing out handkerchiefs to a swarm of females.
Who's more famous, Joe Montana or Elvis Presley?
That's up for you to decide.
Probably Elvis, right? I don't know. He's the king, baby.
That's. I would agree. You know, I'm just honored.
You know, I just had on Matt, who was my best man at my wedding, and he said that he was at a high school football game and Joe Montana was there, and he didn't go say hi because he noticed there was a long line of people that were trying to, do the whole thing, and he's just like, you know what? He's just a dude that wants to watch a high school football game. Didn't say hi or anything, and he's just a person, But you actually met him, so you wound up. He's like, I breathe the same air that Joe Montana breathed. I felt the aura, but no.
I don't have a picture of Elvis Presley, but what I do have, if you want to put it on the link, I have a picture of myself, my brother, and Joe Montana.
Yeah, send that to me, and I'll send it to Matt, and he'll be jealous because he's a huge Niners fan. Okay, but the last question, the most important question, which is, in your opinion, what is the greatest cartoon theme song of all time?
Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse.
Here I come to save the day, because I pictured Jesus up there looking at me saying, here I come, Chris, to save the day. And so many times I just didn't see it, or I didn't listen to him.
All right. That's awesome. That's a good answer. I don't know if we've had a Mighty Mouse yet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for coming on. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And until next time, everybody, don't be a jerk.